Hi friends, welcome to another episode of That Gardener channel. Today we are going to do a bit of pruning of this huge rose plant that we have. So this rose plant has matured quite a bit in the last few months and it's doing really well, and we had few flowers here that were absolutely beautiful as well, but it's now time to prune just after the flowering has finished off. What we're going to do is to create few more rose plants from this one plant, and I'll just show you guys how we do that in a very simple way. So first thing to do is to grab our scissors and let's get started. The first thing we have done is actually cut this rose plant at an angle. You want to make sure when you cut the branch, you cut it at an angle of 45 degrees. And what that helps to do is to make sure when it rains or when you're watering, the water actually flows off. It doesn't get stagnated on the stem, and that could lead to rot or diseases. So you want to make sure you cut it at a 45-degree angle. And then you want to also make sure that the branch is fully mature, and you can tell that by the width of the stem. So you can see here it's quite thick in general, and it's a little bit darker as well, which shows maturity level as well. So you can see here it's quite thick, and this will be ready for transplanting, and I'm going to show you how we can create a couple of more rose plants from this one branch. And at the same time, what this will also do is help this rose plant to focus its energy on building and branching out a little bit more, since the energy has been moved from growing vertically to more horizontally. So we are expecting to see more shoots coming off to the sides now, and that's going to help us to have a more bushy rose as well. So what we like to do after we do the trimming is to really get rid of all the leaves. That's quite important first step, so let's do that. This looks good. All the leaves are gone. Now the next step is to identify all the thick parts of the branch. So we can clearly see it starts to get quite thin as it goes outward towards the flower. And what we want to do is to just clip off a couple of inches from the flower when it starts to get quite thin. As you can see, it's starting to get thin around here. So we're just going to clip off, and remember again 45-degree angle. We clip off, same for this one. You can see it's getting quite thin over here, and then same for this part. That's step number 2. Now step number 3 is to get rid of all the thorns, and I'll explain why we want to do that. So all the thorns, the easiest way to clip off is really with your clipper or with your scissor, just to chop it off. Or the other way that you can use is to use a knife or a clipper and then to do it this way, so that you can just shave it off. And both ways are equally effective. Whatever you prefer, doesn't matter. And make sure that you wear your gloves when doing this, because you might prick yourself. I'm not wearing any gloves, but if you do have gloves, do wear them for protection as well when dealing with roses, because these thorns are quite painful as well, so you want to take all caution. So that looks good. We got rid of all the thorns, and now the next step is to clip this into smaller portions. We generally go for one hand size, and that's generally decent enough of a size to actually clip and to propagate the rows. Again, the way we want to do it is, as I mentioned, about one hand size. You take this clipper and again clip it at 45-degree angle, and you want to make sure that it's on top of any of these thorns that we had cut off. And because the reason is that the specific spots where we have cut off the thorns is going to help to actually use the energy and to push out new branches at those spots as well. So you'll see new shoots coming out from those spots where we cut off the thorns. So you want to make sure that you cut on top of the branch. So we do it at a 45-degree angle carefully. So here's one. So we have a total of 6 different branches we got from that one huge rose. We're going to do now with these 6 different portions of the branch that we cut off is put them in a very good quality soil, and I'll show you guys how that works. So we have picked this spot here. As you can see, I've put already few of the rose clippings from a different plant, and you can see some of these portions of the branches that I had put are already shooting off. Here's an example. You can see nice shoots coming off, more than one, at least 3 or 4 leaves coming out from this one as well, and this one as well. We're seeing some leaves starting to come off. This is kind of our propagating station, which is in a nice spot with a good amount of sun, but not too much sun. It's partial sun, and it's in a little cup here that we use for propagation. And the reason we use this tin cup is it does have a hole at the very bottom, but it stays quite moist compared to just putting it in the ground. It actually stays much more moist in a tin cup because it does collect water, and it stays and the water stays in the cup for a much longer time. And the soil that we have used here is purely just compost. I don't use any rooting hormones, but I still get quite a good rate. I would say 75% of my shoots, they actually work out quite well. Some of them do rot, which I get rid of, but 75% of them work out. So what we're going to do is add few more rose stems here, and we're hoping to get more rose plants from that. So all I do is just really push these in, and we want to make sure that this stays moist throughout the time, and that's to make sure that these stems do not dry off and they can produce those roots and some leaves as well. And it's fine if we have too many of them here, because all we're looking for them to do is to just start to root off and have few leaves, and then we're going to just move them into our flower bed on that side. I wanted to also show you some of the rose plants that we actually got from using these stems from the roses. Here's an example here. It's not a very tall one, but this flowers really well, and this is from the stem that we use from a taller tree. Same for this one, and now this one has actually matured quite a lot. It even flowers, as you can see. It's really nice achievement when we see from one plant we get 6 or 7 different stems, and then we can keep getting more and more roses. So you can see I have a nice rose bush here, and we're getting quite a lot of buds. Here's another one. And just the way that we do it, it's very simple. We don't use any rooting hormones. We keep it quite simple. You could also cover these stems after you put them in the soil to keep them extra hydrated. I've done that as well. It works really well. So all you do is you cut off a bottle in half, a plastic bottle, and you can use that to just cover the stem after you put it in the ground, and that's just to make sure that the soil is retained. It works like a mini greenhouse, so you can do that as well, but not necessary. I would say as long as you put it in a partial shaded area like this one, and you keep the soil moistened, and preferably try to put it in a plastic cup or a tin cup that can retain a bit of the water, then it will work out well. But you don't want too much water, otherwise it will rot away. So make sure that it's wet, but it's not drenched in water all the time. All right, guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and hoping you get lots and lots of roses. Wishing you a nice weekend. Thanks a lot, and keep safe. Bye.